Um, my project is about finding efficient practices in low-tech greenhouses as a way to help small family farms. So for my project, I visited Canada, the US, and Pacific visits to Israel, Spain, Italy, and the Netherlands. I'd also like to have a special thanks to Hort Innovation for their sponsorship, and I feel quite honoured to bring back something to the industry. Okay, so this is my family. We are vegetable growers in Geraldton, 450 k's north of Perth. My parents first arrived in Australia as Vietnamese refugees back in the 1980s. They moved to Geraldton, where there was a small community of refugees already working there as farmers. So five years ago, I moved back to the family farm from my engineering days, and I worked pretty well with the brothers, so we expanded out to Walkaway, which is about half an hour's away. We have 6 hectares under plastic tunnels, mostly grow cucumbers, but we're also diversifying in capsicums and tomatoes. So I'd like to thank my family for letting me escape the farm for my travels, and also Jade, who has done a wonderful job in help planning and also travelling and participating in the interviews as well. Now, so this would probably be the peak of our innovation here, using foam as stilts. Just looking back at this photo, we were quite really isolated and really hadn't a chance to visit any farms and exchange knowledge back then. So with the long working hours, I thought we reached a plateau in what we could learn from our parents due to their lack of English skills. So we needed to explore ideas and innovations. With the technology moving so fast, I feel like we could be left behind. So today I'm just going to give you a few examples of what I thought that I wish I would have had a better appreciation back then when I was building rubber stilts. Now, so this is the dream. This is high-tech greenhouses. They are fully climate controlled. They have vertical fans, they have horizontal fans. They burn gas to heat up the greenhouses. That produces electricity, carbon dioxide injection, reuse of water. So high production, but a high cost. This is us. So we're quite simple. We grow in soil. It's a lower structure, limited climate control, but it is a cheaper option. So some of the practices I'm going to show you, you can consider them as what you can change above ground and what you can change below ground. Now, so these are examples which are quite cost efficient. So in Sicily, they've got, instead of automatic winches or anything, they've just welded on handles and they've rolled up and down according to humidity and temperature. In Brazil here, they are quite hot and humid, so they went for a more open structure to ventilate. And in Spain here, their industry, they have like 30,000 hectares of plastic greenhouses, and they have the same climate as Geraldton, so it's, they grow in winter. So they install a double layer plastic to insulate the greenhouse. In doing that, the condensation doesn't occur on the plants, but above. So any reduction in moisture on the plants reduces fungal diseases like downy mildew. Now, automation. Matt has showed us lots of great stuff. But what I found in the greenhouse low-tech industry, there wasn't much automation, and what they were doing was they were just focusing on taking one step out of the routine. So any help in reducing energy use was a great help. Now, stuff that we can do below ground. So in most areas that I visited, the greenhouses would collect rainwater. Well, not if you're in Israel here, it's a desert. But the reason I went here is because our scheme water is quite saline, and the bore waters in Israel have an EC of 2 to 2.5. It does contain high levels of sodium, but it also contains magnesium and calcium. Now, in order to make use of these nutrients, they would water with this water, but they would water 2.5 times to 3 times as much to flush the sodium. I also noticed that Israel had recycled wastewater that they redistribute to the horticultural growers. This was also done in Adelaide and parts of Victoria. So after my troubles, I came back and got some funding from NAC, and we did a desktop study on reuse of wastewater in Geraldton. What I found is it's cheaper. It's quite saline though, but you can always mix it with rainwater, or you could invest in an RO machine. This is a long-term strategy because of building that pipeline to the industry, which would take some money. Now, automated irrigation. It was amazing in Spain that I saw these Venturi doses that are like 20 years old, and I was quite shocked that we only started using these kind of doses 2 years ago. With Hightech growing, they would collect feed water and drain water and send to the labs for testing. That way you would know what type of nutrients you're missing to add. What low-tech growers are doing is they're installing lysometers and sucking the solution, sending to the labs and getting the same sort of results and managing their nutrients that way. High-tech growers, when they're doing managing the watering times, they would go on a run to waste ratio. So the ratio of drain that they collect. What the low-tech grower is doing, and also myself, is you install sensors in different levels of soil. You monitor the drainage, then you can reprogram your managing times. Now, if you're growing in monocropping crops and you have a lot of soil disease pressures, what the growers are doing now is converting to hydroponics, managing it as hydroponics, just placing the bags on the ground. They do collect the drain water, but they don't have a UV system to sanitize the water. So what they do is they collect the drainage and they use it for a different crop that is not prone to the same root disease. Now, soil preparation. So these are two totally different soils. One is sand dunes, basically, and the other one is so in Spain, it's quite common that you'll be excavating off a hillside and then you reintroduce clay loam and you overlay it with a river sand. Both have different managing ways of watering, but they use compost and biostimulants. Now, biostimulants could be humic acid, fulvic acid, microbes, so anything that stimulates the root growth to prevent root disease. Integrated pest management, what I saw over there is very effective in high-tech greenhouses and low-tech greenhouses. What the growers have found is when they use less pesticide, it is a stronger plant and it allows a faster time to get to production. In the age where sustainability and environmentally friendly themes are always in the back of the consumer's mind, this is an excellent marketing tool. So, our attempt. So there's a passive and active. So passive would probably be the most cost efficient. So in Geraldton, what would we do overnight in winter is we close all the plastics to trap the heat. But in doing that, you trap the humidity as well. So in the morning when the sun rises, different temperature change, condensation occurs on the leaves, and this creates, downy mildew and that kind of stuff. So what we've been doing is we're leaving the plastic up, and then when the temperature difference comes with the sun rising, you just pull everything out, let the humidity escape. There's less condensation, and the disease pressure is less. Also, when there's a big temperature difference with the heat, we've started cutting holes in the windows, and it's quite effective in releasing heat stress. Now, as an active way, let's just say going towards mid-tech, not into high-tech, we've trialled fans. So we're placing fans at alternative ends of the greenhouse with a roof extraction fan. What we've found is it does extract humidity and heat out, and it does create airflow as well. So we found that there's a 10% increase in our production, but we haven't analysed the running costs yet. So making it work. Traditionally, our land is not located in valuable cropping land. It's actually on a sandy slope. It's quite windy. We've got wind farms behind us. Sorry. I've lost there. So I'm happy with our achievements. Taking that point with the wind. Over the past year, I have been a member of Vegetables WA and also chairman of a new growers group that we created in Geraldton. I saw that in Spain there was a lot of cooperatives that were very efficient at marketing and selling the produce for the growers. They were buying fertiliser in bulk at a cheaper rate, so they had negotiating power as a group. So what our cluster group did is we lobbied the minister, and we had the Department of Ag with us, and we were able to negotiate a more sustainable price for our water in the region. Now, in summary, low-tech greenhouses are located in areas that are already favourable climate. So any innovation that you put to your greenhouses should be justified. Otherwise, your return on investment will be low. You got to know your structure. You got to know what's good, what's bad, what works. And to help this, you would install data sensor logging systems. So these are the new management tools. They're cloud-based. They're real-time, so you can make the decision-making quite quickly. Now, if you have no money for trials, you should be observing your leaders in the field or the institutions in where those low-tech greenhouses are. They have a wealth of knowledge on these kind of practices. So there is a trend in supermarkets where they want a one-on-one relationship with the grower. And so high-tech greenhouses and investors are supplying direct because they have a more quality product with more reliable production. So what does this mean in regards to small growers when there could be less demand on the market floor? Because we are quite vulnerable to this volatility when this occurs. So my project is finding efficient practices and getting more production, but in the end, will we able to get the margins? The psychology of the cluster group. So in the Netherlands, I found it quite amazing that you would have 10 groups of 10 growers that would every second week would visit each other's greenhouses, discuss fertiliser, energy use, fungal diseases, and then they're all lifting each other up. And here I'm discussing with people in high-tech greenhouses as well, and they said it can't be done. So how do you not be competitive in a saturated market? And the last one is, I think we are behind in some things, and you got to really work on your destructive technology or trend, something that will sink you. Automation and robots are coming, as Matt showed, and are we ready to compete? Are we ready to compete on production, quality, or sustainability? Thank you for listening.